welcome back to my channel. You are spending some time today with Aberdeen. I am a film composer and teacher, and today I thought I would just run you through the basics of using GarageBand on iPhones and iPads. If you are 5 years old, 10 years old, 50 years old, 100 years old, you can be using these technologies. Please do not be shy. Okay, let's start with the basics. So if you are scrolling through your iPhone one day trying to get rid of some photos and some apps to create some space because your iPhone's telling you it's time to cleanse, and you see this one specific app called GarageBand, please do not delete it. It is an amazing free app that Apple has produced over many years that is free to all musicians and people who want to start composing and arranging their own scores. So I just wanted to start off my channel with some informative videos. I have been teaching classroom music and instrumental music for many years now, and especially during the coronavirus when schools were shut in England for 4 months, GarageBand was our best friend. It really teaches you in times like that to move with the times and start teaching yourself new tricks. And this has just kind of encouraged me to share this with not only my students, but everyone who hasn't had this sort of education before. So my motto is anyone can rearrange and write music. If you haven't seen any of my videos, please do check them out. I do not usually use GarageBand to compose my professional level soundtracks and film scores, but that doesn't mean that GarageBand cannot help you get there and isn't an amazing tool. So this video will teach you how to set up a GarageBand file, so when you're starting to arrange things, you know exactly what you've got to do. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and open up GarageBand. If you've never used it before, it should open up blank. If you've mucked around a little bit with it before, it will open up to your last project. Over in the left-hand corner, there's this little page. You want to click on that to exit and scroll to the top to create a new song. Whenever I start arranging a piece of music, as long as it's not an acoustic guitar piece, if it's using sheet music, perhaps for example, like in my next video, the Star Wars soundtrack, I would always start off with keyboard no matter what, and then adjust the instrumentation later. So we're going to go ahead and click on the keyboard. Here are my #1 tips when starting out on GarageBand. Firstly, you want to make sure you have the letter names, the G, A, B, A sharp, C sharps. You want all that written down to make sure that everything is as easy as possible for you. To set this up, you have to actually exit GarageBand, go into settings, and just scroll down. Don't click on anything yet. Scroll down to GarageBand, and then scroll down to keyboard note labels, okay? And click on that, just like that. Make sure it is on green, people. If you follow those steps correctly, you should have all of the letter names in there, and this is super important if you, 1, do not know how to read music, 2, do not know how to play piano, and 3, if you are starting out with music technologies like this, is going to make your life so much easier if you clearly label everything, okay? If you're trying to read sheet music at the same time as using these programs, you're going to get a headache very quickly, okay? Make sure you do everything in your power to make this as easy as possible. #2, for an example, I'm going to show you the Star Wars score that I was just using for my last video. Oopsie doopsie. My biggest tip to you on iPad, I'm unsure if this works on iPhone, but on iPad, I like to screenshot my photo and drag the photo screen right next to the GarageBand. So I can look at my sheet music at the same time as playing the notes, okay? This is like the biggest hack of 2020 during coronavirus when I was teaching online. Honestly, a lifesaver, because my students do not have MIDI instruments and they do not have printers, they do not have access to all of these equipments. But if you can squeeze it all in your iPad page, brilliant, okay? So I always do this. That's my tip #2. My tip #3 is to make sure you have set up your GarageBand settings correctly according to the piece of music you're writing or arranging. Lots of my videos focus on arranging film soundtracks, so I will use a score to guide me. looking at this soundtrack, I can see that we have a time signature of 4/4. I'm going to highlight that for you so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So hopefully the more you practice, the more obvious and you start to sort of recognize different signs and images in the scores and stuff like that. So I'm talking about this 4/4 here. That tells you how many beats there are in a bar. There are 4 beats in a bar. If you go to your right hand corner and click on that little button in the middle and you go to time signature, make sure you are selected on 4/4. You should be automatically. Some pieces are in 3/4, 6/8, etc. Make sure that that is correct, otherwise you will find you yourself getting a headache very quickly. Number 2 in this section would be making sure that you have set the correct key signature. This piece is in G major. Now where I'm looking for that is this sharp or flat, or no flat or sharp, depending on what piece you're learning. This is in G major. I have learned and memorized this. I will make another video discussing key signatures in the future, so keep an eye out for that, but make sure that you are taking that into consideration. If you have a score that has 3 sharps, for example, just go to Google and say, what key signature has 3 sharps? And it will tell you that it is probably a major. But for this specific piece of music, we are in G major, so make sure that is selected. The last step from this middle section settings is to make sure your tempo is correct. Super big tip here, if you know the piece of music you're arranging, you can tap in your sound. Okay, so we're doing we're doing Star Wars. So it is da 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 da. Excuse the singing. I've been tapping that in at around 90 beats per minute. So I'm actually going to another tip that I like to share with my students is do not record in at 90 beats, please, because it is very fast. I will show you how fast that is. And it would be something like this. Can't play it in properly most of the time, right? Takes a bit of practice, but you can hack this a little bit and actually just make it slower. Go down to 60, record it in at 60, through and 3 and 4 and 1 2 ba ba 1 2 ba ba bum. Okay, slower you make it, it's going to be a lot easier to get all those notes in, especially if you are not using a external keyboard. Alright guys, so once you set all that up, one last thing you should try and do if you're just using your iPad to arrange and compose. Make sure that you have all the notes that you need in front of you. As I mentioned before, this is in the key of G major, so we're going to be kind of sticking around those notes. But what I like to do just to make sure, in the right hand part or the treble clef part, I like to double check that I've made, I can see all the notes I need. So, whoopsie-doops. The top note I need at the moment, I'm just scrolling through, just having a look, is that high D. Let's double check to make sure there's no other ones. Yeah, the high D is the highest note, so I need to make sure this is the top note that we need, okay? The lowest note that we need is this D, right? It's as low as it goes, the D, which is this one here. But let's just go through, make sure there's no higher notes. I'm just looking through, and we do. This note here is higher. So the higher it goes up the stave, the higher the notes, okay? So this G is the highest note, and we need to make sure we can reach it. It's underneath my, it's just there. So what I like to do is click in the middle here. There's this like little glissando scroll button. You can click that, make sure it's on scroll, and then I can reach all the notes, okay? So that's all you need to do when you're starting out on GarageBand. This is like your tips for success. If you do not follow these tips, you're going to be having lots of issues, and it's probably going to encourage you to give up sooner than you should, because I guarantee you, if you follow along with this program and attempt arranging and composing using GarageBand once a week, within maybe 6 weeks, you'll feel so much more confident, and you'll actually start to realize that accessing the world of music and composition is not for just like a handful of people in this world, okay? Everyone can do it. You just need to believe in yourself and put in a little bit of hard work. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I've linked all of this, I've typed all this out, sorry, underneath this video. So please give me a like and comment if you would like to see any other info. Like I mentioned before, I am a teacher of music in secondary schools. So if you are a student and you would like to learn something specifically in GarageBand, please do comment below and I will make a video especially explaining that for you. Stay safe and well, guys, and I will talk to you in the next video.